Welcome to ABC24 This Week. I'm Richard Ransom. If you're watching right now, it's either Sunday morning at 9 a.m. or Sunday night at 11 p.m. on ABC24 or 9:30 p.m. on CW30, giving you several opportunities to catch us every week for the real story behind the big stories. Let's start with our topics for today. First, we'll talk about developments in the Tyree Nichols death investigation as the 5 Memphis cops charged with his murder make their first court appearance. And we also learned the fate of 2 Shelby County deputies who were on the scene of Nichols' beating but did nothing. We'll move from that to the Memphis mayor's race. Sheriff Bonner officially moves from Bartlett to Memphis as the city council does its part to address whether candidates should have an address in the city. We'll also examine further how or if the Tyree Nichols case might affect the mayor's race this year. Finally, depending on how much time permits, we are going to tackle as many proposed laws as we can that are coming out of the state capitol this week, from gun legislation to refusing federal funds for education to making it easier to oust elected officials, to a rather petty exchange between 2 lawmakers over a dress code. We'll get to all of that in a moment, but first, let me introduce my panel. ABC24's political analyst is Otis Sanford. Otis, thanks for being here. And Reverend Whalum appears with us frequently. He is the pastor of New Olivet Worship Center. So we'll start with the not guilty plea by the 5 cops who are charged in the Tyree Nichols investigation. Otis, nobody up here is a lawyer, but we've had lawyers talking about this on the show, and that's pretty much what everyone expected would happen. Right. We don't even really have an official cause of death yet. The toxicology results are not back yet. So if I'm a defense attorney representing either one of these men, I'm going to say we need to plead not guilty and see how the evidence lies.
Well, I mean, when you go for an arraignment, you pretty much have to plead not guilty. The judge is probably not going to accept anything other than that. This is just a formality. I did also hear that one of the lawyers for one of the defendants made the statement that his client was actually just doing his job out there that night and that he never hit anybody. Well, I mean, we'll see about that when we really get down to dissecting the video, and not just the video we've already seen, but other video that's coming out. So yeah, I mean, this is the beginning of it. I think the judge said on Friday that please be patient. This is going to take some time, and he was saying that for the benefit of the defense and the prosecution, but also for the benefit of the community.
You have to believe all 5 officers are charged with exactly the same offenses, that's going to change as this progresses, and we learn more about each officer's role and involvement, including the one who we learned recently sent pictures of Tyree Nichols, 5 pictures from the scene.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things that I knew was going to happen is that the lawyers are going to be arguing their cases as much as they can in public. They're going to be arguing, testing their arguments through the media, through social media especially, and they're already doing that, particularly Ballin. He's really making some strong statements about his client getting a fair trial. I said early on in the process, when people were really sharing information across the internet, that you're just going to make it more difficult to have a fair trial in Memphis, Tennessee, because the more people are exposed to it, the more they're going to draw conclusions which are really not based in fact. It's going to be a long process, and people need to understand that the hearing that the judge postponed till May 1st, I think it is not the trial. Right. These are pre-trial hearings, right, where they're very boring, very intricate and detailed. People just need to settle down.
And to Ken's point about the fair trial, you know, that always comes up when you really have a very high-profile case here. And I would not be surprised to see one or more of the defense lawyers asking for a change of venue to get it out of town. I don't know, and I don't think that would happen in this case. But also remember that, you know, there are a lot of people in this community who can, I believe, render a fair decision even though they've heard about the case. Just hearing about the case doesn't automatically disqualify you from being a juror.
Right, right. Well, another development this week, we had the 2 deputies that we know now who were on the scene as well, not shown doing anything related to the beating, but not showing, are shown doing nothing at all during that whole scene, and they were there. Sheriff Bonner claimed he didn't know or see the video until it was shown to the world on January 27th. And after an investigation, and they had been put on administrative leave, he's now decided, all right, I'm going to make sure that they're suspended without pay now for an entire week, for 5 days. And there's some criticism that that's a slap on the wrist given their role, because we learned that they did turn off their body cameras, that they did not report that they were on the scene. I just want to get your take on it.
Okay,
you
what-
first.
Well, I think that what Sheriff Bonner has done in retrospect is going to hurt him with regard to his race for mayor. It's just another damning piece of evidence that shows that he's not doing the greatest job as sheriff. And I hear that there's another lawsuit that's coming up now concerning an inmate who was killed in the jail at 201 Poplar. And when he makes the kinds of remarks that he did recently, and he was smiling when he said it, I think he was talking about, well, you don't always want to see the videos. It's not really important all the time. I think that's going to hurt him in terms of the mayor's race. Now, with regard to the disciplinary action that he took, it was probably too little, too late.
Well, let's show that soundbite. I think I know which one you're talking about, in which he was asked about the video and had he had prior knowledge of it or asked to see it before everyone else saw it.
No, I didn't. Typically, when other departments or agencies are doing an investigation, normally we don't ask unless we really need to see it.
It seems as though there's any case where you'd want to see the video, Otis, it would be this one.
I think, and with all due respect to Sheriff Bonner, I've known him, he's a good guy. That was the worst answer you could possibly give. We're talking about a case that is a transformational case in this community. We haven't had anything like this since Elton Hayes. And for him to say that I don't necessarily think I need to see the video and other people are involved. I mean, it's almost like he's washing his hands of this case. He should have known that there were sheriff deputies on the scene. Somebody should have told him that. He should have seen the video to see for himself what, if anything, his deputies were doing or were not doing. I just think that he is taking too much of a hands-off approach to this. And quite frankly, to Ken's point, looking at this politically, you know, where does this leave him where voters are concerned, thinking, how much of a take charge guy are you? Now, again, I say that with all due respect. I'm not making any value judgments at all. But my goodness, leadership is what we need here, and I just didn't see a lot of leadership here.
Well, one of the things that is going to happen, either fortunately or unfortunately, is that as the defendant's attorneys get more information, they're going to press for more information. They're going to get into depositions. They're going to get into discovery. And we're not going to just find out what the officers did. We're going to find out what their supervisors did or did not do.
Right.
And that includes the sheriff. I think we're at a tipping point in Memphis and Shelby County, and I really am serious when I say we could tip either way. We could either tip into a very positive future, or we could tip into chaos. I really believe that.
That segues well into the mayor's contest, which I want to talk about next. Did you want to say something real quick?
Well, I just want to say very briefly about the punishment for those two sheriff deputies. You know, 5 days without pay. I agree. I think that is a slap on the wrist. If for no other reason, turning off your body cameras in the city, that's a fireable offense, I believe. It should be. You know, that's what we're using the cameras to make sure we have good policing. And if you're going to turn it off, you're nullifying the whole thing.
All that's happened with them is they got 2 weeks off, basically paid vacation, while they were being investigated.
Right.
Now they got another week off without pay, which could hurt a little, but it's not substantial.
No, it's not.
And like you say, for what they did, it seems like a slap on the wrist to me. All right, we take a break. When we'll come back, we'll talk about the mayor's race and what effect the Tyree Nichols case might have on that contest. The voting is in October, is when we have that election. We'll be right back.